Okay, I have 5 minutes to talk to you about OpenPrices. So OpenPrices, the first crowdsourced database of food or not food prices. Have any of you heard about it? Like, not today, but before? Okay, cool. And have any of you actually added a price on the platform? Okay, nice. Thanks. Okay, so first of all, how did this project start? About 2 or 3 years ago, we came out of COVID, and what was in the news was inflation. Not just food prices, but also energy, just raw materials in general. We also had the war in Ukraine. We also had climate change, where some of the resources came lacking. Also, when I was watching TV, I saw farmers in Europe in the streets because they were asking for better pay and consumers were asking for lower prices. But in the end, agriculture farmers were the ones pretty much paying the price. And in the middle, we had supermarkets who were all competing to have the lowest prices without much of any price transparency. We had some NGOs who were doing some price monitoring, but they don't actually share their prices. We have even French government agencies who have a monthly price index, but they don't actually give the raw data. So yeah, I felt, and we were probably a lot that felt that something was missing, an open database of prices. Next slide. Yeah, so last year I was here during the Open Food Facts Days, and yeah, we had like a workshop time, and I wrote this thing called Let's Store Prices, and we were like 20 around the table, and we started discussing about how it would look like, because it's a bit tricky, actually. A price, well, it's tricky and pretty much impossible. There is, just in Paris, millions of prices in hundreds of shops. And Paris is just one city in the world. And prices change every day. And in some countries, prices depend on your consumer data. Anyway, so, but we could try. So we were around that table. We started discussing about how it would look like. And we built a prototype. The prototype had a few rules, which made it a bit complex. It's that a price is a combination of a product, so Open Food Facts barcode or taxonomy category. It has a date, it has an author, we want to track who added it, and it has a proof, because for legal reasons, for data quality, we want to kind of be able to track down where and how that price was added. Also for legal reasons, we don't want to scrap, at least for now, whereas all the competing platforms do this firsthand. And finally, we started from zero. The prototype had 0 prices to start with. This for the first iterations. You could take a receipt or a price in a shop, add it with a simple web app. You had that history, and this is a friend called Justin who really helped me out in Grenoble. I'm from France, in Grenoble, and I would be developing. He would be testing in the shops. He would bring me feedback, and I would correct it live. Okay, so the prototype was launched in January. We are now in September, and we are getting some data. We have over 30,000 prices, which is a lot, and also it's really not a lot. It's like a drop, but it's pretty cool because we're starting to have locations all around the world. For each price, we ask a proof, so we have lots of images. So that could be interesting in the future, and because we have mobile integration, we are getting, it's not just Justin and me and a few, it's actually 400 contributors who've added at least one price. So it was spoiled just before. So you've seen this map of all the locations where there's at least one price. I could zoom in. It's mostly happening in France and in Europe, but there's still people, and every day I see new countries or new locations pop up. For every product, for example, we had a kind of an obsession with Madeleine. We would try to scan them everywhere in every shop. So some products have over dozens of prices. So we're starting to be able to do a map of where they are at. We're starting to be able to do some graphs. This is like, it was done like a few days ago, but you can check it on the website. And of course, we just have like a history of all the prices on the main app. I should say that it's not about food. Pretty much from the get-go, I decided to sync all the data. So not just food, but we also sync the products, the beauty, and the pet food. So you can also go to a pharmacy. You can also go to a DIY shop, to a bakery, and you can add prices. It works. This project is in the middle of OpenFoodFacts and OpenStreetMap because all these nodes rely on the OpenStreetMap database, which is cool because it's also a crowdsourced project and it's easy to update and it's huge. The only thing is that if there's a new shop around the streets, it might not be on OpenStreetMap yet. So you also have to contribute to OpenStreetMap first before adding prices. Yeah, so we moved from a prototype to MVP, and now it's running in production. It's been deployed on the mobile, but there's lots of subjects that it touches and that we could dive deeper in. We have lots of images. We could speed up the contribution process by doing some classification and some text detection on the images. On a receipt, you can see, probably you don't take receipts anymore, but if you do, you can see that there's the address, the number of prices, products, lots of metadata that could be used. We could also do barcode detection. Anyway, search is the app is mostly contributing, not really exploring yet. So we could do a bit more work on the visualization, searching, doing some comparison and graphs. Third thing is data and privacy. This is touchy because we're now considering consumer consumption data. So if you share what you've bought last night, well, it kind of shows a bit of yourself. So we're thinking, and we want to start anonymizing a bit the data, at least for end users. Maybe moderators would have access to some extra info. But yeah, so it's in mind. Also GDPR. So in Europe, you've probably heard about GDPR, a law where you actually own your own data. That means that if you have fidelity cards for example, Carrefour, you can actually ask them your whole history of shopping, and it's one of the sources because then we import it and we have like a whole history of spanning back 5 or 10 years. So it's great, but we need to industrialize it, as in like just one click, you make the request, we get the CSV and we import it. That would be awesome. And finally, well, OpenPrices has been a bit outside of the core OpenFoodFacts, but now that we're starting to get some data, we could start integrating it somehow. We could start calculating some average or latest prices. This could be like one of the ways that you can filter or be recommended alternative products based on not just quality but also prices. And also, of course, integrating with OpenFoodFacts would also expand the user base and have more products and everything. Yeah, if you want to contribute, well, if for the ones who haven't, there's this website that's for the web app. There's also the mobile integration that you probably have seen it if you scroll down on a product detail page. If you have a Fidelity card, yeah, you can talk to me, and we need to build this GDPR request page. That would be awesome. There's a channel on Slack where you can give feedback. I'm not gonna fix every bug immediately, but at least we'll create issues and we'll know that these bugs or these ideas exist. And we do weekly meetings where we go through them and try to prioritize. I say we because I couldn't have done this on my own, of course. Mostly a thanks to Raphael and Pierre, who were there every Wednesday to make sure that I wasn't on my own, that the project was going well and stuff. But there's also a few contributors who helped a lot. Justin, Damien, who's not here, but he was here last year. Didier for the code, Fabrice for the mobile integration, and a few other contributors who've added like hundreds of prices without me asking anything. So yeah, thank you.